VSAM-Handy is a powerful and yet very handy tool to display and update VSAM files on the browser, using their associated COBOL structure definition. The product supports KSDS, ESDS and RRDS files. It also works on temporary storage queues, allowing users to view and update any item in any queue. Binary and decimal fields are shown and are being entered in displayable format. The update facility performs basic validation such as value range and number of decimal digits. Users may choose which fields are shown. You can write your own record validation routine that is linked to whenever the user tries to update or add a record and prevent the update if values are wrong. VSAM-Handy supports unlimited nesting levels of occurs within occurs. The product perfectly handles files that contain multiple record types. It can also operate without an associated mapping layout. In such a case, the file is displayed in plain character and hexadecimal formats. The entire file or selected columns can be exported to an Excel spreadsheet. VSAM-Handy provides various types of data comparison. Diff between two records from the same file, highlighting the fields that differ. Diff two records, each from a different file. Full-scale diff between two files, highlighting keys that exist in one of the files, or keys that exist in both but have different values in the data fields. After logging in to CICS, we see a list of all the files defined in each of the CICS regions. Let's pick one of the files, a VSAM KSDS file. The initial display shows the key fields of each record. Let's take a look at the COBOL definition of the record layout. The file key consists of an account number, bank code, branch number, and record type. Then we have several common fields. The rest of the records contains four structures that redefine each other. Only one of them is relevant in each record based on the value of the record type field. We have personal details, various info, beneficiaries. And we have recent transactions. All of them redefine one another. Upon entry to the field, we see the key fields of each record. VSAM-Handy displays a list of all field names of the file. You can choose which columns you want to see. Let's pick some of them. Refresh the display. The result is a matrix which contains all the fields that we have asked for. Many of the cells are empty, since they belong to a record type which is not the current. For record type 251, title and owner SSN are in the relevant structure. For record type 314, the balance field is relevant. You can change the subset of fields to be shown, and you can zoom on each record. When you zoom, you see the complete record structure, field by field. This is a record of type 251. After the common fields, we see the personal detail structure in offset hex 24. When we zoom on a record of type 314, it contains the same common fields until offset 24, but then starts a different structure, various info. Let's choose two records of the same record type and compare them. We check the first one, the second one, and then the diff button. The product displays the differences between the two records. We can also edit the record. Let's change the user ID from Karen to Joan, and the title field to Wedding Planner. Owner first name to Linda. Click Update. The record is updated. Click Next to see the next page of records. You can also change the key in order to locate on a particular key with a greater equal search. Click the Excel button in order to export the view to an Excel spreadsheet. Back to the file list. The file that we just saw was a KSDS file. Let's examine an ESDS file that contains more or less the same data. We select the same mapping layout. Here it is. An ESDS file does not contain keys fields. In order to locate on a particular record, we use the RBA, Record by Address. If you enter 10,000, for example, and hit the Locate button, the product locates the RBA closest to that number. Here as well, you can zoom on any record, update it, or add a new record using the existing one as a base. Similarly, VSAM-Handy supports RRDS files. We pick one that uses the same COBOL copybook. Here it is. Looks pretty much like ESDS, but instead of RBA, we have an RRN, the record number we use to locate a record. Try 999, record not found. The number was beyond the last record. Try 200. Got it. We can zoom on each record, edit it, change any field, update, delete, or add a record. Back to the file list. VSAM-Handy also supports files that are not defined in the FCT. We have here a KSDS file which is not defined in the FCT. Let's copy its dataset name. And paste it into the product's DSN field. We have two ways to view a file. The regular way is using its COBOL structure. The person file contains basic fields: first name, last name, company, street address, city, county, telephone number, email, and website. If we don't tell VSAM-Handy which COBOL structure maps the record, it will dump the file byte by byte. The initial display shows the key of each record. In our file, it's the last name field. Zoom to see the complete record in character and hex formats. You can also compare two records. Select both of them and click the Diff button. This is a byte-by-byte comparison. It marks the characters which have different values in both records. But of course, the nice way to browse this file is using the COBOL copybook that describes the records. In our file, it's the person layout. Let's display the same file using its mapping. The initial display shows the key fields of each record. In our case, it's the last name field. You may choose additional fields from the drop-down list or click All Fields. We now see the complete matrix of fields and records. We can zoom on a specific record. We can also update it. When we uploaded the COBOL copybook for the file, we specified the name of a user validation routine that will be linked to each time a record in the file is about to be written or updated. The routine receives a COM area with the record address, length, file name, and the operation. It can approve the operation or reject it with an error message. Let's examine a sample record validation routine. We have a Validate Person section that counts the number of @ in the email field. If the number is not equal 1, it returns a message. Let's try to update a person's record and enter 2 @ in the email address. We click Update and get an alert message. Email must contain exactly 1 @. This message did not come from VSAM-Handy itself. It came from the user validation routine, which was written by the customer. The validation routine is not limited to approval and rejection only. It can also modify fields in the record, fix wrong values, and set defaults. Let's change the email to a valid value with 1 @. Change the phone number and update. Record was updated. Now we see it again in read-only mode. Here is the field phone number that we changed. VSAM-Handy can compare files. We have the people file and the people2 file. These are two versions of the same file. Let's compare them. Click VSAM diff. We are going to compare file people and people2. The comparison can be done byte by byte or using the associated COBOL structure. Let's begin with a byte by byte comparison without the COBOL mapping. The comparison report displays the key of each record in character and hex formats. In our case, it's the last name field. If a certain key exists in both files and the records are identical, the line is white. Zoom in to see the complete records. If a key exists in both sides, but the data is different, the line is blue. Zoom in. The comparison report highlights the bytes that differ. If a key exists in one file only, the line is red and the other side is gray. Zoom in to see it. Back to the VSAM diff request form. Let's repeat the same comparison, this time using the person COBOL structure. Here again we see the key for each record, with its COBOL name, last name. The lines are either blue for a key that exists in both sides with different data, red for a key that exists in one side only, and white for a key that is identical in both files. Choose additional fields to be displayed in the file matrix and refresh. Zoom into a blue line, a key that exists in both sides, but some data fields are different. The fields company name, county, and national field have different values and are marked blue. If you zoom into a red line, a key that exists in one side only, the product simply displays it. You can even edit the record. You may also zoom into an identical line and see the values. Click Next to obtain the next chunk of records. In this page, everything is white. There are no differences in any of the keys. We may have to scroll many times until we find the next mismatch. If the files are big, it might take a long time. Therefore, we return to the diff request form. This time, we ask VSAM-Handy to show difference only. This time, only the red and blue lines are visible, the keys that exist in one side or the keys that changed. Identical records are not shown. The product can also be used with temporary storage queues. Here is a list of all temporary storage queues in each of the CICS regions. You can look at the queues, update items, add items at the end of the queue, just like you do with VSAM files. Let's display one of the queues. It's just a one-item queue. The same capability that we have for VSAM files, we also have for TS queues, including mapping to COBOL structure. Thanks for watching.